Good evening. Prudential Committee meeting of the 22nd of May, 2023. Seth Burdick. Present. Charlie Eber. Present. Ray Brown. Present. Present. Stand for the pledge of allegiance. Mark.
Present.
Oh, hi, Mark, sorry. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to for which it's here, one nation, under God, indivisible. From the water commissioners to come in front of us this evening to discuss the budget, so I'm going to let them start here.
Are there any other water commissioners on?
Mark Robinson is here.
So there's two of us here, so we have a forum. So, because of that, and because of this open meeting, we did post it last week as an open meeting for us as well. I'd like to call the fire districts, water commission to order. We'll make it a formal meeting, so that we need to make changes. Okay, so Mr. Robinson, the reason that I'm here, I asked if you could join you guys tonight, because I'd like to reconsider your recommendations on our budget. Our budget, we spend a lot of time on every line item. We look at it, every expense. We know what our projected those to be considerably lower than what you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars more than each year. In over $1.5 million already in this fiscal year. Our employees are the reason that we are doing this. Well, the salaries are pretty good, but they're not able to purchase a home and they could, yet they are required to live within 30 minutes. 47% of people who work on Cape Cod commute from off the Cape because they can't afford to live. Our guys don't have that option. They can't go somewhere and then drive to work. They gotta can't get over the bridge. The proposed salary increase have though, like it's been spread here, over the past years in order to keep their salaries consistent with other districts on the page, both where they live. These increases that were proposed for fiscal year 24 are intended to keep up that happening. Senior operator in Barstool, $80,000. Our senior operator will not be making $1,000 even when this budget proposal will be making $76,000. Our junior operator who has the same license as our superintendent, we go to school, making supposed to make $58,000. I think in Barstool was in junior making $56,000. That's consistent. That's in Barstool. Mashpee, they make more. If people live close enough to Mashpee, close enough to Farm, close enough to the center of the logical market, you know, to go to one of the other districts. The other districts are stopping. They're putting out emails to our workers, to our office as well, saying, hey, anybody that can come over and help us out. We lose these. People are hard to find. We're hopeful. We think we'll probably find people, and they'll be as good. We're hopeful again. They have the skill set that these people have. That's going to be a steep learning curve. because our employees are exemplary. They know their job very well. They deserve to be treated and respected as professionals. All I hear is praise. Then turn around and say, yeah, that's not you, what looks like a lunar race. It just doesn't make sense. They need a living race. What good is that? Highest rate of inflation in 40 years. It was the last time. Yeah, we're proposing 8.7% increase. Consistent with the COLA. That is what people on Social Security, retired veterans. That's what they get. They get that because inflation required that they get that. I think it's important that we honor and respect our employees. That will be consistent. We have been consistent with the COLA for the last 3 years. I know it was high this year, but it was not for a reason. I would just like to see if Commissioner Robinson want to join in and share everything.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing Tom, but I think I have the gist. Were you asking me to speak, Madam Chair?
Yeah. If you wanted to share it. Great.
Why don't you pull your chairs closer? Thank you.
Mark, if you want to share anything, any thoughts?
Okay. Yes.
our
So I totally agree with the chair, Chair Hoppenstadt. You know, the real resources and assets of the Water Commission are both the tanks that we see, the pipes that we don't see, but really the people that are driving around every day providing the service to the residents. And I think that I've never heard, I've been here now 5 years as a commissioner and in the village a lot longer than that. And I just know that the staff is so well regarded. They're so helpful. They're friendly. They answer questions. They take the time with people. They know that they're serving a small community. And that is really worth its weight in gold in terms of having that kind of public face to the district. We don't have a big staff. We have, you know, a staff of 5, and it's supplying water to everybody that lives in Katuitt. It's a great responsibility. I don't know how particularly the water superintendent puts his head down every night without worrying about the public health and safety of everybody in the village. And so I just know that the staff is doing a really good job. We're trying to keep up with the cost of living, and it's important to retain good people. We know I work all over Cape Cod. I work with 15 different towns, talk to town officials all the time. They're all having problems with retaining good help, particularly, for instance, the fire and policemen, that they get trained up in one district, another district offers them more money, they go to the next district, even though they've been invested in by one district. So this is what we're trying to do, is to retain people. And it's only by pure luck that we've been able to have a water superintendent for so long that has all the institutional knowledge, but we need to make sure that the junior staff is compensated fairly as well.
This is Mark Lynch. I don't know if I can be heard. Is the sound okay?
This is fine. You're fine, Mark.
Okay. The first thing I want to say is I couldn't hear the first speaker very well at all. I apologize for having to be remote. With the second speaker, I could not agree more with everything he said about the water department staff and their competence and the importance of their jobs. I cannot emphasize that enough, and I know that the entire Prudential committee agrees with that. there is, of course, at some point, I think we all could agree, a number that cannot work. You can think up any number, any big number, and despite all of those things being true, such a number would just simply be too much. In my view, we have reached that number. It's not just the 13.3% this year. It was, I believe, over 10% last year and over 7% the year before that. So there have been significant raises above the cost of living that appear to be accelerating. And you can be as enthusiastic about the staff as possible, and we all agree, but at some point there's a number that just doesn't seem right. And as the Prudential Committee, it's our duty to, step in at that point. The cost of living adjustment, 8.7%, is not the correct number to be using. It's the Social Security cost of living adjustment. It's the biggest in 40 years. Next year, it's expected to be 3.1%, and my suspicion is that you will not be coming here looking for a 3.1% raise next year. So if we're going to have a criteria or a yardstick, that should not be the one. I do note that the federal bureaucracy, if that's the right word for it, it got a 4.6% raise, which seems more in line with, what we should be looking at. I don't, on the one hand, we're not looking to, and we're not looking to specifically dictate what the numbers should be. But at some point you get to a point where we can say they should not be those numbers. And so I'll just end by saying, again, could not agree more with everything I've seen personally and heard about the water department staff, and don't disagree with any of that. But this history is simply too much. Thank you.
Could I respond to a couple of things that the Commissioner mentioned? Mark, this is Tom Hoppenstead, Water Commissioner, and thank you for your comments. You did mention that past few years we've seen 10%, 7%, I forget the exact numbers, but I have them in front of me. I could look at them. Those were based on the COLA. That's what they were based on. So next year, if it's 3.1%, I would expect that you would see us come back for a 3.1% increase. We've done that for the last 3 years anyways, perhaps longer. The other thing I just wanted to make mention of, and you said you couldn't hear well when I was sitting back in the hall a little further, is the fact that our salary increases are consistent with people in surrounding districts that do the same job as our employees. So if we don't give them these raises, these increases, they're going to be making considerably less than their peers, who I think it's pretty clear they stand head and shoulders above. So I just wanted to add that for clarification.
My response to that, 8.7%, assuming that we were to think that was the right number, I don't, but that's also only part of the raises here. I mean, the raises are, with the exception of the superintendent, are all substantially in excess of 8.7, closer to 13.3. I have not done research into what the other water districts are doing. I find it difficult to believe that everyone else is giving 13.3% on top of 10% on top of 7% over the last 3 years.
Yeah, I didn't say that. What I did say is that they are getting paid the same salaries, very similar salaries as the surrounding districts. I don't know how they got there, how many years they've been working for their respective districts. I do know that, you know, we want to keep our staff and we think that this is a good way to do it. And they've been headhunted to come to other surrounding districts. The other thing that you don't know, and we talked about it in our meetings, but the reason we put the additional bonuses on there, let's not call them bonuses, I guess we call them merit increases, was because of the outstanding work that they did this year. Primarily in obtaining licenses, additional education. Our office manager had to implement a new, what is it, beta system, a new billing system.
A new billing
A
system.
new billing system, right? And she's done an outstanding job and increased communications and outreach. And so those merit raises were just for that, for specific things that the staff did that were over and above what's expected of them, and now become part of their regular jobs.
So, my 2 cents, I guess, to this is that I don't think that this committee is gonna, I mean, can we even change the warrant on our recommendation at this point now that it's sealed? And if you guys, if you've already, your budget's in and the warrant is sealed and all, it's really irrelevant one way or the other. Well, we have said it's already done, well, and now it'll go to the voters as it is. You see what I'm saying?
I do, but,
So we're in an impasse.
but no, you can change your position.
But can we,
Why not?
if it's already printed in the warrant?
Then at district meeting, you say, that's no longer valid.
Right.
We don't support it, is what you said.
Right.
The only other time that the Prudential Committee didn't support our budget, they didn't say they didn't support it, they abstained from supporting it.
Right. Which is essentially the same thing.
No, it's considerably different.
What I'm trying to say is, I think that we're at an impasse at this point, in terms of this is the position of the water commissioner and what you've chosen to do, which is fine. And our committee decided not to endorse that budget. And there's really not a whole heck of a lot more to it. At least that's I don't know, is that.
Amounts I believe can be on the floor lowered. Isn't that correct? They just can't be raised. That are in the warrants. I think you have one employee who has been employed, I believe, for 4 years. And has gotten, how long has the office manager been there?
I'm not sure.
And gone from $54,000 to what, $80,000? That's a massive amount of increase over 4 or 5 years. And I think that's, I'm sorry, but using a new computer system, that's part of her job. I don't think it requires extra pay for but certainly my job, we had upgrades in new computer systems and nobody gave us more money. I also have another question. When we see the salaries of the 3 young men, they do the call, correct? They're on call. Right. And is that the call pay included in their salaries?
No, I think that's a different line on. Right, is there a different line on
Yes,
this?
different line.
Yeah.
So, but it's spread across the 3 of them.
Yeah,
So they get an additional 4,000 or so a year. It's
Maybe.
not reflected in the salary or in these raises here.
So
Yeah.
my understanding is they get $200, they're on a week at a time, is that correct?
250.
Well, that's. They're on a week at a time, or,
I am not their supervisor, so I don't know that, I'm sorry.
okay, well, say they're on a week at a time, so they get the $200, and then the following week, they get 4 hours because they were on call. Not necessarily called in, but 4 hours more because they were on call, and then get called in, they get more hours for that. So I think that should be, when we get on-call pay, and we get excess pay, I think that should be noted in their salaries, because that's part of their salaries. I don't think that should be on a separate line. And I, for the life of me, don't understand why somebody would get paid 4 hours for not coming in, when they've already been paid, for a flat $200 or $250 for being on-call.
Yeah, I wish I could speak to that. I'd have to check with Chris, and I'm just not sure how that works.
So, I mean, your salaries are, getting more of a raise than what the union has agreed to. Firefighters have agreed to. And I think, if you want to give them 8.7, you say that's the COLA, which I disagree. That's fine. If you want to give them merit, that should be a bonus. I don't think that should be included in your salary. You want to give them a bonus, that's fine, but I don't think the bonus should routinely go into their salary. I don't think that's a normal business practice.
Can I public comment?
Yes,
Or at the end of the meeting?
it's at the end of the meeting, or, you want,
We can have
we
some
can have
public.
public comment now. You have to speak up, I'm close.
That ex-water. I was on the board with Tom, and I think I spearheaded the effort to bring our salaries up to par with the surrounding towns, and I think that would be very useful now to have a study of what surrounding towns are paying their, Com and Mashpee and the other ones are paying their employees. And you have to weigh those things, because everybody doesn't have the same level of responsibility or knowledge or training. So, I mean, it's not a clean judgment for that. The other thing, I agree with Fran, I think said it, that merit pay, at least in my understanding, is you do a good job this year, you get a bonus or a merit pay. That doesn't continue as part of your salary, so, I mean, it doesn't make any sense that it would. Next year, you do a lousy job, they don't take your pay away. So I view merit pay as that, in that context. I wrote the job descriptions and evaluations for the employees of the water department way back when. I'd love to see their percentage increase plotted against cost of living increase. And use the state, use the federal, maybe you want to use some of them, but we did that a long time ago because we had lost a few employees to the surrounding towns. We were being out-competed. I don't know whether that's true now, or whether we have surrounding towns coming to us and saying, do you have any job openings? I just don't know. I've been that far away from the water department. But I think, whatever you do, you want to base it on some fact. And if you have done a thorough job, comparing our salaries with surrounding towns. All that said, I appreciate the water department. They do an excellent job. Their employees, I think, are top notch, or always were top notch. And they care about what they're doing, and they're careful about what they're doing. I hear what Tom's saying, you know, they can't afford a house on the Cape. I probably couldn't afford a house now that I'm retired. I mean, it's a problem bigger than us. And I think eventually it'll go away. I'm not sure what circumstances will dictate that, but it has to come to a head. And I think we're getting there soon. But back to the employees, I think probably what needs done is those job descriptions need to go be reviewed in 10 years. The evaluation systems need to be reviewed. And then I think a study needs to be done on what is appropriate pay for our employees. And I'd hate to make a decision based on no fact. And 8.7 sounds excessive to me, but I know what federal employees got this year, and I'm an ex-federal employees, and it's 4.6. And saying something apolitical here, you know, the federal employees usually get a generous cost of living, depending on the administrator. I mean, I went through years working for the federal government, never got a cost of living at all, no matter what the rate of inflation was. But the circumstances now for the federal employee are pretty good. You know, I think they're in a favorable position to get a cost of living increase. That's pretty generous. But again, without going to the surrounding towns and finding out what's going there and looking at what our rates of increase were over the last 10 years compared to the rates of increase in cost of living, I'd be aghast to try and make any judgment about it. But coming back to the original point, merit pay always has meant to me, you have an employee who does something outstanding in a year or several things outstanding, you give them a bonus. And that bonus stays with them for that year, but it certainly doesn't continue for their whole career. I think the other thing is a promotion, which is something that does stay with an employee. And I know there's, you know, in the little water department that we have, there's very little room for movement. You know, that's something the employees accept when they accept the job. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other comments? All right, any comments?
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. Lynch, did we lose you? He's still there. Oh, okay. All right. Move on to the minutes of April 24th. Give you a chance
I
to
did.
read those.
Yeah, you'll find
I have one correction. Instead of the motherboard could be replaced on the old recorder, so. So that needs to be corrected. By recorder. So I'll accept a motion to accept the minutes with that.
So.
Second, all in favor?
Seconded.
Thanks, Mark.
Aye.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm gonna have to drop off now. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Ray?
April, means that we're 83% through the year. And we'll measure, and expenditures against that target for April. Overall, revenue is 634,000 ahead of that target. And expenditures are $33,000 below, including those things that were completed already and included on target. All revenue categories are positive but one. And that's taxing as of the end of April. Behind that target. However, actions in May indicate that we may make that up by the end of May and be current with the target as of the end of May. So revenue looks solid. SARS are water department, ambulance, and to a much lesser extent, the interest payments that we've been able to earn are either below target or completed on target. This includes the fire department overtime, which I mentioned in the last meeting and raised concern about the fact that we may have an over that category. I was at Chief Brown and we reviewed the numbers in detail. I discovered that with which I agree with, the fire department will probably end up under budget rather than over budget, as I indicated last time. See, and we resolved that during the past month. Special articles remain underspent, and the $150,000 bond, that's the bond issue that we issued, was successfully sold to Newbury 5-cent savings bank. They have purchased a number of our bonds in the past, so it's nice to see them come back. The unfortunate thing is at 4.75% interest. The bond market, particularly in this arena, is tight, to say the least. Currently, on the positive side of the interest spectrum, we hold $602,000 of T-bills and $1.8 million in CDs. And these are generating an average of 4.5% interest. $854,000 of the stabilization funds are in CDs at Cape Cod 5 and the Cooperative Bank. And they're at an average of 6%. While our temporary surplus operating cash is invested in T-bills and 30-day CDs at the Coop, and they're averaging about 4.4%. Maturities from the stabilization are 2 to 3 months. Maturities in the surplus cash are 30 to 60 days, so that we have the cash readily available. And April result.
I have one question about, did we ever find out anything about the refunds? Remember you had asked the town about, last year we had a mysterious $58,000 refund that we issued.
Yes, so the tax refund.
And this year we had 33,000, and they said that because it was locked up.
Never
in
got a
software,
satisfactory answer.
so.
Asked them twice, I asked both the treasurer and the assistant. Yeah, and they claim that they cannot identify this. I think there is a way to go through abatements. That would be fairly tedious, but we can go through abatements and get some idea where the money was abated over the past 6 months, or actually 9 months.
Yeah.
But it's frustrating.
I'm just curious, is it $90,000?
Yeah. You would think that it would.
So that was, I guess that was my only question.
The only other thing I was going to mention is that I had made, in addition to the budget handbook with the Civic Association, and what I did was create a summary page to introduce the presentation, which basically took this year's budget and listed all of the amounts that contributed to the formation of this year's budget. Our increases, there are significant decreases in what we contributed to stabilization and the number of articles that are debt. With the net result, the budget actually goes down by $300,000. So the appropriations are $300,000 less, but because local receipts are less this year than last, tax levy actually goes up by 6%, 6.4%. And that's primarily due to the fact that we don't have the same, we didn't generate the same amount of free cash that we did the previous year. So it's rather an anomaly.
Yeah.
But so people could frame their thinking about the detail that would then follow. As I go through the budget handbook with all the detailed budgets, they would have some overview of it.
Right. Looks good to me.
That's all.
Say thank you. Well, we're sitting at the tables,
There we go.
but the old tables have all been taken to new homes and happily after. The recorder has been, the new recording machine for the audio system has been installed. So that's all set for the annual meeting.
Back for you.
And I think that's all that's going on here. State's busy doing rail services and going away parties and
Voice.
all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Next, I wanted to go over the warrant.
Oh, there it is. Thanks.
So I think I gave you a copy.
In my file here.
So we can decide who's going to do which articles.
I don't think I do have one. Do you have one? I have a budget thing. Thank you. I know Mark's not here. How will we assign it to him? Just tell him on the night.
Yeah. So,
Sounds good. We have to do 1 through 4. Right,
right.
then we have to do again 11 through 16, 18, 19, 20. I'll do as many as you want to do, I don't mind.
I thought we could do what we did last year, do, pick a group. I can do 1 through 4.
Sure. Maybe I'll do 11 to 15.
Okay.
And then 18 through 20.
Give the mark.
There we go.
Yeah, so they'll present it.
So there is this, so
They present
they
that.
present that one, so Mark just gets,
So Mark gets
or 19.
16 through 19. Say about to a school, the town council voted to transfer the building to us.
Right,
So that's, so you had a policy advisory committee?
we did, we had no, it wasn't super brief, but it was to the point. We talked about some of the things that we had already spoken about, which I said didn't really advance in this committee. So that was that. A policy about we talked about a policy for the policy advisory committee to meet more often than we had in meetings. Because we didn't have any meetings last year. Term limits came up again, a policy regarding term limits for committees, whether it be chair, specifically chair, generally speaking.
Specifically this chair.
Maybe. We talked about policies regarding mission statements, stewardship, environmental policy. But when we were still in it out stage. And so I brought these things to, I'm gonna have another meeting actually fairly soon.
Well, actually, you're only required to have one meeting a year.
Right. That was part of
For the
our
bylaws.
policy to meet more, possibly. To make it a quarterly then, rather than have it be, because there was a feeling that we didn't have enough meetings to discuss possible policy changes. Or enact certain policies or debate policies. So.
So we're gonna become an activist district.
Maybe, who knows? But, so those were the main, that was the thrust of it. There was some talk about a policy regarding the website and accessibility for alteration of the website. Or, that was one thing we talked about. I made a very brief note of it.
But who do they want to have?
That's the question. That is the question about who is running the website, but I don't know if that rises to the policy level, but we can discuss that. As you know, who's administering it, who posts it? Who does this effect? Is that you, Lisa?
I post Prudential.
Because the thing was, it was our agenda wasn't posted on the district website.
So you would have to send the
But it
agenda to
was-
me. Post it on the district website.
Right, well, that was what Cindy said that she had done.
Okay.
But then, he didn't, because what happened was Adam said, oh, well, I didn't see the agenda posted anywhere, so we can't have a meeting. Or Scott, one of them sent me an email to that effect. And I said, well, it was on the town website, I saw it, but it wasn't on the district.
Because it wasn't sent to me.
Right, so then,
Yeah.
there's a conflict, well, it's a conflicting, whatever, but at any rate, to make a policy that all of the meetings must appear on the district website. This is, and again, this is, I'm relaying to you what we discussed, so it's not necessarily,
All the district meetings do appear on the policy website.
except for the agenda for that particular meeting.
Yeah, right.
So,
And the minutes would appear if somebody sent the minutes to either Lisa or myself.
right,
We both can post on the Prudential. And,
okay, well, there we go, but that was about the size of policy advisory committee. We're gonna be, after the district meeting, we'll be reconvening again, and discuss these things further. Are we gonna have another meeting before the district meetings? District meeting, we won't, right?
no,
Next week.
it's
Okay.
next week.
Time flies,
Time flies, yes, it does.
but that was just it.
Okay. Well, just so you know, couple of the, yeah, was working on revamping the website.
Right.
And then COVID came and that kind of,
Right,
but you know, when he's the one I contacted to get the annual report posted and the warrant posted. And the notice about absentee ballots posted. You know, he's the one who does that. Right, I don't know how to do that.
and then one other thing we did discuss was the hybridization of the meetings, which we may have accomplished.
We're trying.
At this point with this, I don't know how it appears to everyone who's in the audience.
If we have some volume things, we'll have to try.
Or we can all get closer together,
Well, yes, it's more about
right,
sitting on the table.
or speak up. Really, just yell. All right, anyway, that's all I have to say.
Is there any further public comment? Seeing no further public comment.
I see no hands raised.
We should say loud, any public comment, further public comment?
I see a hand.
So you have to shout.
We do need to speak up.
Hi, Katie McMurray. How are you guys?
Hi, good.
Just from a little feedback from this end, it is a little hard to hear. I think I could have missed maybe another public comment opportunity. Just a quick comment, question, something to think about. I don't know if this has been considered, but I'm thinking forward to the special meeting that, will be upcoming now that the school property has, transitioned over to Katuitt. Just consideration of time and accessibility for those upcoming meetings. I know like people like myself who have young children find it difficult to attend a Wednesday 7:30 meeting. So I don't know if any consideration can be made to,
Yeah. I agree with you
time.
on that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know what the magic time is where more people can come, but just something to consider. Maybe folks who are more experienced in this area can look at into that.
Now, by the bylaw, it doesn't say,
Yes,
does it say what time we have to have one? It does? I guess it does.
There's
Because
one for
that's-
the special. Okay.
Well, is it special district and regular district meeting? The special groups specifically have
I know in the end,
under annual.
Annual meeting, yeah, it's a specific time.
A special meeting would be unanticipated and could occur. I'll look at them closely. I don't have it memorized like you do. Because it would be good to have, that's something that I run into with a lot of different public meetings or when it comes to just any of these kinds of meetings, that they tend to be not super convenient for if you have little kids that you have to put to bed or that you work in the morning, especially if they drag on, you know what I mean, for a period of time. And would it be more advantageous for us to do, not just for that, the group, not just for that group participation, but the broader groups on a Saturday, say, when people don't have work at noon time.
Yeah, but then people are busy with their kids going to soccer games, baseball games, ice hockey games.
Right, we'll drop them off, but I mean.
Yeah, I know other towns have been moving towards Saturday meetings. Like I said, I don't know if that's the magic time where more people can come, but it's, something to think about if there is an option.
Yeah, like, for me, it would be easier on a weekend day, for instance, than a school night.
Well, I don't think there's any special, I don't recall any special rules for special district meetings.
Okay.
We will be having it at the school, because we can accommodate more people.
Yeah, I know other towns, they do, what do you call it, childcare? Like they go through this local school, kids can get service hours. People are, there's new flexible ways that they're getting parents involved, which, again, just a thought.
We'll take it into consideration when we schedule it. As long as
Excellent.
we're not.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Was that her hand?
Yes.
that's her.
I think we're all set. Anybody else?
No, no other comments. Oh, wait a minute, we have one from John Gardner. You need to unmute yourself, John.
Okay. Is that better?
That's it.
Okay. I've got 4 points and some of it's just for your information, but one is a question and I'll get to that right now. If somebody asks the question about the water department article, is there somebody on the Prudential Commission that is going to answer that question?
I would say Mark.
Yes, Mark Lynch.
Okay. And the other question is, when I go to the Katuitt Fire District website, Ken Malloy is still listed as the moderator. Is there a way to get that updated?
I will do that immediately.
I didn't hear.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. And then for your information, I've been in touch with the local Boy Scout troop, inviting them to the meeting to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I haven't heard back from them yet, so I don't know whether that's going to happen or not, but they have their meeting tonight, and I should hear from them hopefully tomorrow or maybe later tonight. The other thing that I remember from last year's meeting was that there was a proposed amendment one of the speakers wanted to make. But when he found out that he had to actually write it down and submit it, he changed his mind. So I've made up a form and I'll bring it with me so that we have the paper and pen and a place for people who do want to submit amendments. And not to discourage them because, you know, he didn't have paper and it seemed like there wasn't anybody that could provide something like that for them. So this is just something I made up to make it easier if somebody does in fact want to present an amendment. Other than that, I will see everybody next Thursday at 7. I'll be there before 7:30, but for the annual meeting.
So I have a question. Do you want your home phone number listed on the website?
No, because we hardly ever use that. Everybody else on the planet does, but I will list a cell phone number.
Okay. So you send that to Lisa?
He's already done it.
He's already done that, okay, all right. Does he have a website address so people can email him?
I will email him when I do the changes.
No, his email address.
His email address. Would you like your personal email address or to a fire district email address?
I think the fire district email would be best.
Okay.
Okay, great,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Thanks.
Is that the motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.